Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most enduring and haunting mysteries of the 20th century. It's a story of courage, ambition, and a disappearance that has captivated the world for nearly a century. We're talking about the final fateful flight of Amelia Earhart. Picture this. It's 1937. The world is on the brink of monumental change, and aviation is the new frontier. It's a realm of daredevils and dreamers, and at the very forefront is a woman who captured the heart of a nation, Amelia Earhart. She wasn't just a pilot. She was a symbol of what was possible. A pioneering spirit, a feminist icon before the term was common. She had already become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. But Amelia always aimed higher, further. Her ultimate goal? To be the first person to circumnavigate the globe at its widest point, the equator. This was the challenge of a lifetime. A grueling 29,000-mile journey. She had a state-of-the-art aircraft, a Lockheed Model 10E Electra, nicknamed her Flying Laboratory, and by her side was one of the most skilled aerial navigators of the era, Fred Noonan. Together, they embarked on this grand adventure. They successfully completed over 22,000 miles of the journey, hopping from continent to continent, capturing headlines and imaginations wherever they landed. They had faced thunderstorms, mechanical issues, and the sheer exhaustion of long-haul flight, but they had overcome it all. The final, and most perilous, stretch lay ahead of them. On July 2, 1937, Earhart and Noonan took off from Lae, New Guinea. Their destination was a tiny, flat speck of land in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean, Howland Island. It's almost impossible to overstate how difficult this leg of the journey was. Howland Island is just 2 miles long and half a mile wide. Finding it after flying 2,556 miles over a featureless ocean was an incredible navigational challenge, akin to finding a single coin in a massive dark room. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter, the Itasca, was stationed near the island, ready to guide them in with radio signals and even smoke signals. They were the lifeline. As the Electra neared the supposed location of Howland Island, the radio transmissions began. But they were fraught with confusion and growing desperation. The Itasca could hear Earhart's voice, clear at times, faint at others, but she reported that she couldn't hear them. It was a frustrating, one-way conversation across the ether. Her voice, strained but professional, came through the static. She reported being low on fuel. She radioed, "We must be on you but cannot see you. Fuel is running low. Been unable to reach you by radio. We are flying at altitude 1,000 feet. The crew of the Itasca listened, helpless. They transmitted continuously, hoping a signal would break through. They even used their ship's boilers to send up thick black smoke, a visual marker against the sky. But Earhart never saw it. Her final transmissions were increasingly urgent. She reported flying on a specific navigational line, a north-south path, searching for the island. And then, at 8:43 a.m. local time, her voice crackled over the radio one last time. After that, silence. Complete and total silence. Amelia Earhart, Fred Noonan, and their silver Electra had vanished from the sky. What followed was the largest and most expensive sea and air search in American history up to that point. President Franklin D. Roosevelt himself authorized the massive operation. For weeks, the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard scoured 250,000 square miles of the Pacific. Planes crisscrossed the sky, ships scanned the endless waves. They were looking for any sign, a piece of wreckage, an oil slick, a life raft. But they found nothing. Absolutely nothing conclusive. It was as if the ocean had simply swallowed them whole. After 16 days, the official search was called off. Amelia and Fred were declared lost at sea. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, that's where the real mystery begins. A person as famous as Amelia Earhart doesn't just disappear without leaving a void, and that void was quickly filled with theories, speculation, and a desperate search for answers that continues to this day. The most widely accepted theory and the official position of the U.S. government is the crash and sink theory. It's the simplest and perhaps the most logical explanation. According to this, having missed Howland Island and with their fuel tanks empty, Earhart and Noonan were forced to ditch the plane in the ocean. The heavy Lockheed Electra would have sunk quickly, taking them with it to the bottom of the Pacific, thousands of feet below, where it would be nearly impossible to find. They were low on fuel, they were lost, and the ocean is vast and unforgiving. It's a tragic but straightforward end to their story, but for many that answer is too simple. It doesn't feel right. How could they vanish without a trace? This is where a more complex and compelling theory comes into play. The Gardner Island hypothesis, now known as the Nikumaroro theory. This theory is championed by the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, or TEAR. They propose that Earhart and Noonan, unable to find Howland, used their remaining fuel to search for an alternative landing spot. Using that last reported navigational line, they might have spotted a coral atoll called Gardner Island, now Nikumaroro, about 350 miles southeast of Howland. The theory suggests they managed to land the Electra on the flat reef during low tide. For several days, they may have survived as castaways, using the plane's radio to send distress signals. In fact, dozens of credible post-loss radio signals were reported by people across the Pacific and even in North America. These signals were initially dismissed as hoaxes, but TEAR believes they correspond to a time when the tide was low enough on Nikumaroro for Earhart to run the plane's engine and power the radio. Eventually, rising tides would have washed the Electra off the reef and into the deep ocean, leaving the two aviators stranded. The evidence for this is tantalizing. Expeditions to Nikumaroro have found artifacts that could be linked to Earhart and Noonan. They found pieces of what appears to be a woman's shoe from the 1930s, a zipper from a flight jacket, and even a jar of what was once freckle cream, something Amelia was known to use. Most famously, in 1940, a British colonial administrator discovered a partial human skeleton on the island, along with a campfire site and bird and turtle bones, suggesting a castaway had survived there for some time. The bones were sent to Fiji, where they were measured and then, tragically, lost. The original analysis concluded they belonged to a male. But in 2018, Professor Richard Jantz, a forensic anthropologist, re-examined the original measurements using modern techniques. His conclusion? The bones were more similar to Earhart than to 99% of individuals in a large reference sample. While not definitive proof, it's a powerful piece of circumstantial evidence suggesting that Amelia Earhart may not have crashed into the ocean, but perished as a castaway on a deserted island. It paints a picture of a slow, heartbreaking struggle for survival. And then there are the darker, more conspiratorial theories. During the pre-war tension of the 1930s, some believed Earhart's flight was a cover for an espionage mission. This theory suggests that she was deliberately flying over Japanese-controlled territories in the Pacific to gather photographic intelligence for the US government. In this scenario, she was either shot down or forced to land by the Japanese, who then took her and Noonan captive. Versions of this theory claim they were taken to Saipan, a Japanese stronghold, and executed as spies. Some locals on Saipan have told stories for decades of witnessing two white aviators, a man and a woman, being held prisoner. There have even been claims of finding their graves. A photograph surfaced a few years ago, supposedly showing two Caucasians on a dock in the Marshall Islands, with what some analysts claimed was the Electra on a barge in the background. However, this photo was later thoroughly debunked by military historians and bloggers, who traced it to a Japanese travelogue published years before Earhart's disappearance. Like so many clues in this case, it was a dead end. So after more than 80 years of searching, what do we really know? The truth is, we don't know for sure. We have compelling theories, intriguing artifacts, and tantalizing clues, but no smoking gun. No plane, no bodies, no definitive proof. Each theory has its passionate advocates and its skeptical critics. The crash and sink theory is the most probable, but the Nikumaroro hypothesis offers a more detailed and evidence-rich narrative. The spy theory, while dramatic, lacks any solid, verifiable evidence. Amelia Earhart's disappearance remains one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries precisely because of this ambiguity. It's a void in history that we desperately want to fill. She wasn't just a pilot, she was an inspiration. She flew into the unknown, chasing a dream with unmatched bravery. Her final message wasn't one of failure but of a continued search, flying a line into the horizon. Perhaps that's the most fitting legacy. Amelia Earhart represents the spirit of exploration, the courage to venture beyond the map, and the acceptance that some journeys don't have a clear destination. Her story reminds us that the world is still a vast and mysterious place, and that some questions may never be answered. She vanished mid-journey, leaving behind not a tragic ending, but a perpetual question mark that still hangs in the sky. Her hope, Her courage and her mystery continue to inspire every explorer who dares to look to the horizon and wonder, what's next? Thank you so much for watching. What do you think happened to Amelia Earhart? Let me know your theories down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'll see you next time.